Alright, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. Starting to get a little sick of turkey leftovers, but other than that, we're vibing, we're thriving, and I've got a story time today I think you guys are gonna really enjoy. About a dude who just was acting a little immature for his age and threw his computer down the stairs for some reason. Don't really know why you would ever decide to do that, but either way, if you don't want to be as dumb as this guy, be sure to press the like button. And here's the comment of the day from the last video. Without further ado, let's get right into the story. Alright, so the person who sent this in to me is named Hank, and no, he is not a propane salesman, even though his parents did kind of do him dirty for that name. I feel like if you're named Hank, you have to go into propane sales. It's just kind of like predetermined for you. Either way, he decided to move into a house with some of his friends to split the rent. And it was a total bachelor pad. It's not like everybody was super focused on making everything super nice and organized. It was more about having fun, but the house never got too disgusting. It's not like they were growing mold or, you know, having just random stray cats pooping in the basement. Like, it stayed functional, and one of their friends ended up moving out to move in with his girlfriend, and they needed a guy to come in and help pay the rent for the house. So they started looking, and somebody had a friend of a friend of a friend who was looking for a place to live. And nobody knew him, which is always not a very good sign about a roommate, but at the same time, they were desperate. The other guy had moved out, so they let him in, and his name was Bo. And Bo was an aspiring esport athlete, which I can respect. You know, I, back in the day, loved to play a good competitive video game. That just made me sound like 137 years old, like some ancient sea turtle. You guys get what I'm saying. Like, I can respect somebody that's got commitment to wanting to get good at something and go pro, but at some point you have to accept reality, and Bo was just absolutely awful at video games. Like, you know, if there's judging accuracy ratings, a certain percentage professionals are supposed to be at, his would be like 2%. I don't even know what game you're talking about, but 2% accuracy is just horrible no matter what game you're playing. That's just how naturally bad he was at video games. And beyond that, he wasn't very nice to his roommates either. He was just always pissed off, probably because he was really bad at video games and trying to go pro. That probably puts you in a really bad mood. Always raging at video games. It wasn't like he had the ability to go, oh, I might not be very good at this. It was always someone else's problem, always just screaming at somebody on the other end of the game. And on top of that, it was like he was legitimately allergic to cleaning everything. There was not a single time they saw him do anything to make things look better than he left it. And his room started to get so gross that the smell was like seeping out from under the door into the hallway. And even when you walked past his room, you know that stale smell that rooms will start to get where it just kind of starts to smell like something could have died in there, but you're not sure? That smell is just coming into the hallway. So they decide to call a house meeting about it because they don't want to live with that smell just kind of wafting into their nose all the time. And they weren't trying to be mean. They were just kind of like, hey man, you know, the smell in your room's starting to come out of your room, so you really need to keep it clean. Like, it's just really not nice to live with. And instead of being reasonable, Bo decides to transform that into everyone secretly hating him and plotting against him because they're jealous of his future esports success. Keep in mind, dude hasn't won any money, you know, he's just living in this like pig filth room playing video games all day. And they don't even try to let him transform it into that. They stop him and they're like, look, dude, we support you. This just sucks to live with. Imagine every time you go to walk to your room, you have to just smell some horrible smell. And Bo's not having any of it. He's just like, whatever, I don't care. And he gets up, runs to his room all dramatically. And I feel like if you're gonna run away from something, you can't have a weird run. You can't help how you run, I know, but if you're gonna run away from something, you gotta be aware enough to realize if you have a weird run. And he has a weird run, so he like does this weird run away from them and slams the door. And everyone's like, all right, well, we tried to have a meeting, that was kind of weird, and they're all sitting there talking about it, and they start hearing a huge amount of noise from his room. Almost like someone's like ripping stuff off the wall. Like it sounds like whatever is going on in Bo's room is going to leave not much of Bo's room left. And all of a sudden the door flies open and he storms out and he has his PC in his hands and he's like, I don't even want it. And you know when someone says something and it's clear that they want someone to reply? Like that's how he said, I don't even want it. And everyone's just kind of looking up, staring at him because they were all sitting there talking crap about how weird the last interaction was. And here he comes holding his PC above his head, like, I don't even want it. And no one replies, so he just starts repeating it. I don't even want it. And so no one wanting to get involved still isn't saying anything. And so he walks over to the banister over this little overhang where there's a landing where you come into the house and you can go upstairs or downstairs. And he looks at them and he's like, guys, I don't want it. I'm going to break my PC. And he was clearly insanely desperate to get anyone's attention. Just please, 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 please. I don't know if he got enough of it as a kid or what, but like he was just clearly very, very much in the mood to get as much attention as humanly possible from everyone here. And no one's giving him any of it because, you know, he's like a grown man throwing a little kid temper tantrum to try to get a bunch of other grown men to pay attention. No one's going to do that. And so he decides that he's going to commit to it. You know, most people with a brain would put their PC down, relax a little bit. That's just not Bo. That would make too much sense. So he lifts the PC above his head and just throws it over his shoulders. And the PC goes flying through the air, and I don't know if you've ever seen a plane without wings try to take off. It doesn't go very well. And the PC does not grant like some magic flying powers to itself. It just kind of falls through the sky and then smashes into the landing down below. Gravity does what gravity is going to do. Believe it or not, that's what happens. You throw something from a high place, it goes to the low place, and it probably smashes into the floor. All right, guys, on screen now is a gift card code. For those of you that don't know, I give one of these away every time I post a video to say thank you to you guys for subscribing and turning on those notifications. So if you haven't already, be sure to turn on those notifications, subscribe, and if you already got them on, then you're an absolute legend, and let's get back to the video. Anyways, this computer smashes onto the landing and like the tempered glass side panel just shatters. And I don't know if you guys have ever broken tempered glass before, probably not, but if you have, then you know what it breaks like. Normal glass will just kind of crack and maybe like break into a few pieces. Tempered glass explodes. I mean, tiny little pieces everywhere, and it goes flying onto the carpet on the stairs all over this landing, which is right in front of the door to come in. And now everyone's just pissed off because there's glass everywhere and like they can't get downstairs to their rooms. Like people coming upstairs or coming into the house are going to have problems and it has to get cleaned up. And as they're realizing that this is a huge mess that is like a safety hazard, Bo realizes that his PC probably isn't going to make it and he starts getting upset. And I don't know what he's upset for. Like I guess that breaking your PC is upsetting. But you broke your PC, bro. Nobody made you sign a contract that you had to go pick it up above your shoulders, throw it off the stairs, and shatter it. No one told you to do that. And on top of it, like, tempered glass can shatter and it won't break the PC, but when you throw it from that high up, chances are something's gonna break. Like, the GPU's gonna break off the motherboard, something's gonna happen. And he's getting upset even though it just seems like he just did not have an understanding that that's how gravity works. Like you can't just throw stuff from high heights and have nothing happen to it. Especially fragile electronics. Computers, that type of stuff is known for already not being like super durable. So why you would assume that you can just toss it around like a rag doll and it'll work fine is beyond me. Like that one just seems pretty obvious that it's not gonna work like that. So he's mad about the PC, they're mad about the glass, and they start arguing with it. And he's like, I don't want to clean it up because it's my PC that got broken and I'm upset about it. So I don't want to have to clean it. And they're like, well, if you wouldn't have thrown it, the glass wouldn't be everywhere, so you're going to clean it because I'm not going to clean it up. So he starts cleaning up the glass, and the entire time he's just loudly complaining about how this is so unfair and he needs time to mourn his PC. What do you mean mourn your PC? Also, I feel like you don't get to mourn your PC when you are the person who threw it down the stairs, dude. It would have been fine. And of course, he's like saying that he shouldn't have had to clean it up and it wasn't a big deal. What do you mean it's not a big deal? There's literal shards of glass in the entrance to your house. Do you just want everybody that comes in without like work boots to have soles of their feet that look like they've been ran over a cheese grater? A cheese grater. I don't know where that was going, but you got what I'm saying. Like your feet would be so cut up after walking all across this glass that apparently doesn't need to get cleaned up. No, it's fine. If anything, it's more of a booby trap. Like, what in the Home Alone are you trying to do out here? You can't have glass just sitting in front of your entryway. I feel like that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. People already are willing to sue people for stuff that they shouldn't get sued for. Imagine you walk into somebody's house and your feet just get cut because they dropped a bunch of glass and didn't feel like cleaning it. As Bo was cleaning it too, sure enough, he found that the GPU had snapped off at the motherboard, which is no bueno. Means that the motherboard is for sure broken, not 100% on the GPU, but I'm going to guess that's not great for it either. And of course, when he realizes that the computer's screwed and it's going to be a very expensive repair, he starts to regret it. But instead of like getting a job or something, he starts going to them and says they have to pay for it because he's an esport athlete and he needs it to work. And somehow it's their fault that it got broken. His logic was if they would have just like given him the attention when he said he was going to break it and told him not to, then he wouldn't have, and therefore he would still have the computer. Which makes no sense to me, bro. Like, let me get this straight. They should have told you not to throw your PC down the stairs. You wouldn't have done it, even though you were dumb enough to already think it was going to be a good idea. And because you didn't get a warning, they need to pay for the damage you did to your own stuff. It's just not really adding up. And of course, they were like, yeah, no, we're not going to pay for your computer. That's the dumbest thing that we've ever heard. And he tried to like blackmail them and say, well, if you don't pay for this, then I'm going to move out and I'm going to tell all my friends not to come live here. And they said, are those really our options? Like, you're either going to force us to pay for something that we didn't break because you were irresponsible and broke it, or you're going to move out and no one that you're friends with will move in? And he was like, yes. And they said, okay, deal. Like, all right, fine, move out. And he was a little bit shocked by that, but being stubborn was like, fine, I can probably find a better deal anyways. So he moves out to go do esports stinkiness wherever, somewhere else, professional stinky boy. And apparently his other roommate situation didn't work out because about a week later, he shows back up with all of his stuff and is like, hey, I need to move back in. And they had already gone out and gotten another roommate, this time somebody that they all knew a little bit better. So there was nowhere for him to go. So they had to have the very awkward situation of telling him that like he couldn't stay there. And when I say he had all of his stuff, I mean like everything all packed up, ready to move back in. But I feel like that's something you might want to double check on. Also, how did you get kicked out of your other place in a week? Like, even at this place, he managed to last a little bit. Maybe at the other place, he's like, I'm just going to be myself straight from the start. That way they know what they're getting themselves into. And they were like, oh, this guy never showers or cleans up anything. And for some reason, he keeps trying to sprinkle shards of glass in everywhere we walk. He says it's for fending off robbers, but I just keep cutting my foot whenever I want to go get a drink of water. And so they have this very awkward encounter, and he's like, look, I don't even need my room back. I just want to sleep on the couch. And they're like, no, we don't really want you to be back here. Last time you tried to force us to pay for the computer. And he looks at them and dead seriously goes, yeah, you still owe me money for the computer, which is terrible negotiation, even if you feel like they owed you. If they're already apprehensive to let you in because they felt like that was unfair, maybe right then is not the time to be like, oh, by the way, you guys still owe me money for the PC, because they just closed the door on him and he did not have a place to stay. And then they watched on the Ring doorbell and he like called an Uber, and then the Uber pulled up and the car was too small to put all the stuff in it. So we had to order another Uber. Just a very awkward, insane situation. Overall, not really sure what Bo's plan is if the whole esport thing doesn't work out. Especially now that he doesn't have a computer. Maybe that's why he's so bent on finding someone to pay for it. He's like, man, I just need one of these games to go right. Probably not though, Bo. It sounds like you're maybe lacking in a few other areas. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I'd really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know in the comment section what you thought. Go ahead and comment the word gamer down below if you enjoyed this video. If you like these but you want to listen to them offline, I do post them in podcast form. You can find a link to the Spotify down below, but we're on Apple Podcasts now too, baby. And if you really want to help me out, I've got the Karen Christmas sweater just in time for Christmas, so feel free to check that out. Link will be in the pinned comment down below. And yeah, on that note, I'm going to go hang out. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.